I'm going to share with you 10 powerful health principles you can implement to build your leanest ever physique. These are the exact principles that I personally have followed to stay in shape for over a decade, and these are also the principles we coach our one-to-one clients at Mac Lifestyle Fitness on. And the best thing is, these can be done by anyone. Most of our clients are busy working professionals. They don't want to be pro bodybuilders. They want to get a bit fitter, get a bit leaner, get a bit stronger. They run their own business. They're in high-performing jobs, and they just want to look good, they want to feel good, and they want to make a lifestyle change. So here's how to get in shape, starting with principle number 1. It's not just about what you eat, but it's also about the type of food that you eat. So for example, 4 Oreos and 3 boiled eggs both contain 210 calories. However, 4 Oreos have 32 grams of carbs, 18 grams of sugar, and only 1 gram of protein. In comparison, 3 boiled eggs will give you 18 grams of protein, 15 grams of healthy fats, and 0 grams of carbs. That's why we always say calories in, calories out. That will determine what the scale says. But the macronutrients of protein, carbs, and fats, the balance of those, that's going to determine how you look. And the micronutrients with the vitamins and minerals, that's going to determine how you feel. So while you could technically lose weight just eating Oreos once you're in a calorie deficit, how are you going to feel afterwards? And for most of our clients, they don't want to just lose weight. They want to look and feel good along the way. That is why you need to focus on not only food quantity, which is the amount you eat, but also food quality too. The analogy I'll give is, imagine you're putting the wrong fuel in a Ferrari. It might run, but not efficiently, and sooner or later it's going to have to be brought to the garage and it's going to break down. So you need to treat your body the exact same way and give it the right fuel with the right nutrients. And if you want to see a sample meal plan for a metabolic priming diet so you can lose body fat, I'll post a link to it in the description. Or if you want to message me on Instagram, Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness, just message me meal plan from YouTube Fitness and I'll send it straight over. Now, with all that being said, it's not about what you eat, but also when you eat, which brings me on to pillar number 2, and that is that I stop eating after 7 o'clock. And no, this is not because eating after 7 makes you fat, but rather the type of food that I tended to eat after 7 o'clock was low in nutrients, high in calories, and high in sugar. So by creating a hard cutoff time, it essentially allowed me to shorten my eating window, and I never even thought about it. Okay, a trigger I did was, after my final meal, I would always brush my teeth. But the benefit of not eating too late at night is, number 1, it's actually going to improve your sleep. You don't want to be digesting food as you go to bed, okay? A lot of people eat way too late at night. But secondly, it's going to help save calories too. As you know yourself, your willpower is like a muscle and it decreases over time. So after a hard day's work, you're going to be more likely to want to consume foods that are higher in sugar, higher in calories. But if you set a hard cutoff time for when you actually stop eating, it makes sticking to the nutrition much, much easier. But arguably even more important than having a hard cutoff time is pillar number 3, that is optimize your food environment. If a food is in your house, sooner or later it's going to be eaten. So for me, my biggest weakness was always chocolate granola cereal. Sometimes my mum would buy it for me, and behind her back what I would do is I would take it out of the press and I put it into the bin. Now that might sound extreme, but if you don't want to slip, just don't go to a slippery place. If you want to give up alcohol, why would you have alcohol in your fridge? The exact same way with food. So you want to increase the resistance and make it harder to get foods you tend to binge on, and make it easier to eat more single ingredient whole foods. So some ways to do this are, number 1, do a kitchen clear out, okay? Clear out the press. If it's not in the house, it cannot be eaten. Number 2, shop the perimeters and don't walk down the candy aisle. Again, if you don't want to slip, don't go to slippery places. And number 3 is that just because you're not eating any junk food doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself. So for example, you get some high protein yogurt, some protein bars, which, can be okay in moderation. You can get some high protein treats, or just simply make some high protein snacks yourself. This way, it actually doesn't really feel like a diet, but rather a lifestyle change. Personally, for me, every single morning I have chocolate protein oats. And I always ask myself, how am I able to eat all this delicious, nutritious food that's so satiating, but also helps me stay in shape, okay? So that's why you need to include some fun foods to make it flexible and to make your diet more sustainable. However, with all that being said, you need to make sure you're on the right track to your diet, and that's why principle number 4, what gets measured gets managed, is so important. So many people come to us at Mac Lifestyle Fitness and they claim to be eating healthy, but they're not losing body fat. The reality is they're just not tracking their food. That's why, in my opinion, there's no point going to the gym for 1 hour a day if you're not willing to track your macros for 5 minutes. And it's not that complex at all. Just see calorie count as a skill, and with repetition you become better at a skill. So literally get yourself a kitchen scales, download MyFitnessPal, and just start logging your macros over time. It's not going to be perfect, but it's better than not tracking at all. Now, other things we track here: daily morning weight. Weigh yourself every single morning, because where focus goes, energy flows. Take your progress pictures every single week and make sure you're tracking your lifts in the gym. This will give you a good indication if you're going in the right or the wrong direction. And speaking of the gym, pillar number 5, aiming for hypertrophy and building muscle, is so important, because the ultimate goal is not to lose weight, it's to lose fat. Weight is the number in the scale. Your body fat percentage is the ratio of muscle to fat that you have. So your target should be, you want to lose as much fat as possible while maintaining muscle mass, and that's why focusing on building muscle rather than burning calories is so important. In fact, this one of my clients here, Cullum, okay, on the left-hand side is before picture. What was he focusing on? He's focused on cardio, HIIT workouts, a low-protein diet, and intermittent fasting. On the right-hand side, we got him lifting weights, eating more protein, and eating the right amount of calories for him and for his individual goal. And as you can see there, he dropped body fat, but he also built muscle. Having muscle is so important, especially as you age. And you've probably seen someone in their 70s or 80s, and they're barely able to get up off the chair, okay? They're not able to walk around. They're not able to take the stairs. And that's because often they're just so weak and they're so frail. You don't want to be like that in your 70s, which is why you need to prioritize it now. And the thing with building muscle is that it gets harder as you age. So start now and your future self will thank you. So you might be wondering, how do you build the muscle? And that's where principle number 6 comes in. Lift the same, look the same. You need to focus on progressive overload and gradually increasing the weight over time. No disrespect, but some people I see in the gym and they look the exact same way 1, 2, 3 years on from now, okay? They just literally go to the gym, they work out but rather than train. Working out is where you go to the gym, maybe do some boot camps, some spinning classes, you're not really following a plan, and you just focus on burning calories and sweating. Whereas training involves following a progressive plan and making sure you're gradually adding more weight over time. Because if you're just doing the same weights every single week, you're going to have the same outcome. However, with all that being said, what I don't want you to do watching this video is just go to the gym and try to max out on every single lift. That's a surefire way for burnout and getting injured. You just need to gradually ensure you're making progress over time. So for example, it doesn't always have to be adding weight to the bar. You can improve your technique, you can do more sets, you can do more reps. But once you are making progress and you're going in the right direction, that's a surefire way to know you're building muscle and you're also burning body fat. Now, a surefire way to avoid gaining unnecessary body fat is implementing principle number 7, and that is not drinking your calories. Liquid calories are not very satiating, they're not very nutrient dense, and they generally will not align with your goals unless it's something like a protein shake. But a lot of people, they drink alcohol. Empty calories not doing you any good. You go to Starbucks and you have a 300 or 400 calorie cappuccino, frappuccino or latte, okay? And again, that's not doing you any good. So what I recommend for your liquid calories is limit it to mostly water, electrolytes, green tea, black tea and coffee. Now I know for some people that like low calorie drinks like 7-Up Free or Coke Zero. Personally, they cause absolute havoc in my gut, so I do not drink them. But with that being said, for some of our clients, they're a much better alternative than having things like Coke and Fanta. Now, I would say the majority of people are falling now in principle number 8, and that is not eating enough protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. If you want to build and preserve muscle mass, it is so essential. Most of our clients who come to us, they're completely deficient in protein. I recommend having 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you're 80 kilograms, that means 160 grams of protein per day. If you don't eat enough protein, you're probably going to be hungrier in between meals, you're going to be snacking more, and you're not going to build as much muscle or make as much progress. And it's never been easier now to eat more protein. I've literally been eating over 200 grams of protein for probably the last 5 or 6 years. And it's so simple, okay? To get 100 grams of protein, all you need to do is have 400 grams of lean meat. So for example, you could have 200 grams of chicken breast at lunch, you could have 200 grams of lean steak mince at dinner. That's already 100 grams. If you want to add another 50 or 60 grams, get a protein shake, get some Greek yogurt, get some eggs and egg whites, and it's very easy to make up, especially nowadays. So don't make the excuse of saying getting protein in is too hard, okay? It just means you don't have the right approach or you don't have the right strategy. However, I will caveat by saying the calorie to protein ratio is also really important. When I didn't track my calories, I used to think that chocolate-coated peanuts were a good source of protein. What I didn't realize was, even though I was getting 20 grams of protein, there was also 600 calories in that small little bag alone, okay? So you want foods that have a good calorie to protein ratio. So for example, if I want to get 25 grams of protein from a chicken breast, that's only going to set me back like 130 calories or so. If I want to get the same amount from nuts as I mentioned, that's going to be roughly 600 calories. There's a huge difference there. Now, eating healthier, making better food choices is much easier when you implement principle number 9, and that is prioritizing your sleep. Sleep is one of the most natural forms of recovery that most people neglect. And if you don't sleep well, then guess what? You're less likely to want to go to the gym. You're less likely to want to eat healthier. You're more likely to reach for the cookies over the carrot sticks. And you're also just more likely to be in a shit mood and not productive at work. So that's why with our clients, we implement your 10-3-2-1-0 sleep rule. 10 hours before bed, cut the caffeine. It's got a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. 3 hours before bed, stop eating. 2 hours before bed, stop drinking so you're not getting up in the middle of the night. And 1 hour before bed, stop working. And the 0 stands for zero snooze button the following morning. Do not start your day by breaking a promise you make to yourself. And if you just implement the 10-3-2-1-0 rule, okay, I promise you will improve your sleep. Also, something else that personally helps me a lot is wearing blue light blocking glasses 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and also having a reverse alarm. I bet if you're watching this, you have an alarm for when to get up in the morning, but you should should also set an alarm for when you should prepare to go to bed at night. And I recommend setting your reverse alarm 1 hour before you go to bed. So generally speaking, I would recommend try to be in bed by 11 o'clock. Nothing productive ever happens after 11. So if you're in bed, we'll say by 10:30, you're up by 6:30. That's giving your body an opportunity to get 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. And finally, number 10 is get accountability. When I got a plan from a coach, it took all the guesswork out of it for me, okay? I had no gym confidence, but really I didn't have any gym experience because I had no plan. When I had a plan in place, it removed all the guesswork and I knew exactly what I needed to do on every single day. And the way I see hiring a coach is you can pay in money or you can pay in time. Personally, for me, I always know I can always work more and earn more money, but I cannot get my time back. And if I can accelerate my results and get there faster, that's a worthwhile investment for me. And that was something one of our clients, Tamim, struggled with. He was kind of DIYing himself for maybe 5 or 6 months, but he was frustrated with his progress. He thought it was his metabolism, he thought it was his routine, but really he just hadn't the right structure in place. When we essentially gave him a customized training and nutrition plan, and we had weekly check-ins like this, he was not only accountable to himself, but also to me too. And just often people say to us that it's very, very easy for them to just pull it off themselves. But when they know they're actually reporting back to someone, that's what makes sticking to the process much, much easier. And let's be real here, okay? I bet if you're watching this, some of this is common sense, okay? Like eat more whole foods, eat more protein, lift weights, be more consistent, sleep more. But really the problem nowadays is not a lack of information, it's a lack of implementation. So if you struggle implementing some of these health habits, okay, and you want more of a customized approach, one-on-one coaching, one-on-one guidance, one-on-one feedback, you can click the link in my bio to schedule a call with me or a member of my team where we go through your goals in more detail. Alternatively, you can just message me on Instagram, Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness, and just DM me YouTube Fitness and I'll know exactly you came off this video or this podcast. But that is all for this week's video or this week's podcast if you're listening to the Lifestyle Lifter Show. I hope you found this helpful, and most importantly, make sure you implement something now. Don't just listen to this and just drive on and get on with your life. Make sure you change, because otherwise you didn't really learn.